The Toronto Regional Real Estate Board just released their September statistics with regards to the Toronto real estate market and the Greater Toronto real estate market. And we're going to go through all the major trends and facts from average sold prices, sales figures, days on market, and inventory numbers, along with the only property type that has seen somewhat of a resurgence insofar as September 2022 was concerned within the Toronto real estate market and the GTA real estate market. That and much more in today's video. Hello everyone, this is Sam from SaberiSixRealEstate and Remax Realtron Realty Inc. As always, back with another video for you guys here today. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Sam. I work within the Toronto real estate market and the Greater Toronto real estate market. On this channel, we like to discuss all things Toronto real estate, from buyer advice, seller advice, market trends and facts, property types, building reviews, area analysis, and everything in between. So feel free to subscribe and find my contact information on the screen and in the description box. If you have any further questions that may arise during this video or any questions generally speaking, feel free to get in touch with me via the contact info on the screen and in the description. Lastly, if you want to do a little bit of your own due diligence before you do get in touch with me, simply just enter my name into Google, go through the Google reviews, which my current and past clients have provided. Anyways, enough of all that. Let's get to the point of today's video, which is the TREB Resale Market Report for the month of September 2022. And as always, there's so much we can go through, and some of it I'm going to leave for future videos, more area specific, more property specific analysis and perspectives. That's not to say we don't have a lot to talk about, because off the bat, the average sold price for the first time in a long time, because off the bat, in September of 2022, we saw a decline of the average sold price across all areas within the GTA and all property types year over year. Because in September of 2022, we had an average selling price of $1,086,000, which represented a dip of 4.3% year over year. That's right, because in September of 2021, within the Toronto real estate market and the GTA real estate market, we were looking at an average sold price of $1,135,000. So if you recall, when I went through the August numbers, and in August the average sold price year over year was only marginally up, it wasn't even a full percent, it was a 0.5% or something like that. I said in September I would not be surprised if we see a decline year over year for the first time. And guess what happened? As I said, in September we have finally seen a decline year over year for the first time in recent memory, surely with absolute confidence for the first time in 2022. When the market was on the upward trajectory, starting around last, I would say, April into November, December of 2021, and then really peaking around January, February, March of 2022, we were seeing absurd year-over-year increases with regards to the average sold price. To give you perspective about how far this average sold price has fallen, not just year over year as we see, but since peak market condition, this very figure, this average sold price across the Greater Toronto area and the Toronto real estate market in February of 2022 was at $1.3 million, to be exact, $1,334,000. Now we're below 1.1 at $1,080,000. It is slightly up, of course, from August, because in August the average was $1,079,000. So now we're looking at $1,086,000, up month over month. But when we're looking at such a wide category, average across all property types, across all areas, the differential of $7,000 in terms of the increase month over month is really hard to account as a increase, right? Like any number of transactions went any other number of ways, this average could have easily been a $8,000 decline as opposed to an increase. Well, this drop in average sold prices within the Greater Toronto area and the Toronto real estate market occurred against the backdrop of a far more significant and noticeable drop in total sales. That's right, in terms of total sales, in September of 2022, according to the Toronto real estate market and the TREB Resale Market Report, we saw a total of 5,038 total residential sales. This represented a 44% decline year over year from September of 2021, where that figure was around 9,010 to be an exact. So that's nearly half. Sales have been cut nearly in half year over year. And that is largely also product of low inventory, right? It's not as if there's increasing inventory, new listings coming onto the market, a overabundance of supply, yet sales are declining more and more. That will truly suggest a crash that a lot of people think has already occurred and will occur when inventory figures are going up, yet sales figures are going down. That's not the case. Inventory is low as well, but we will get to that. When I see this 5,000 sales figure, a decline of 44% month over month, a decline of 44% year over year, I'm not surprised because showings have maintained pace. Buyers are still out there seeing properties a lot. But what has not increased in accordance to showings is offers. Offers made are actually down. Now, maybe not September to be exact. If I were to look at the data of offers made in September compared to August, I suspect September would be a little higher. Nonetheless, if we take the last 3 months in full, buyers haven't stopped seeing things. It's just they've stopped making offers. They are still out there active looking at properties. Nonetheless, total residential transactions in this case is down year over year, but unlike average sold price, which is down year over year, but up month over month, total residential transactions with regards to the greater Toronto area and the Toronto real estate market is also down month over month as well, because in the month of August, we were looking at 5,600 sales, which was also in that instance down around 35% as well. So total sales is down both on a year over year perspective and a month over month perspective. And let's talk about what I referred to earlier as one of the main reasons why sales is down is listings. Inventory is very low, because when we take a look at total new listings, this is new properties coming onto the market for the first time for sale, we see a decline of 16.7% year over year. Wherein last September of 2021, within the Toronto real estate market, there was about 13,000 items of new inventory. Now we're looking at 11,237. And this is partially due to the fact that the panic selling, a lot of people predicted, oh, rates are going to go up, sellers are going to panic, they have to sell, is not occurring. I'm not saying there are not people who purchased in peak market in February of 2022 and January of 2022 under significant duress. With the overall macroeconomic conditions of inflation and a potential recession, there are a lot of people under financial duress. Nonetheless, sellers are holding steady, and a lot of people just simply don't want to sell. Those who might want to sell are willing to wait. And historically, data shows time and time again, sellers are willing to cut all expenses, all and any expenses in order to pay the mortgage. That is traditionally what has historically occurred within Canada. And don't forget, fall historically is always a increase in supply. The fall market is a crazy market historically, right? Seasonally speaking, the transition from summer to fall sees a huge jump and bump in inventory, supply, listings coming onto the market, market activity. And this year is the exception. This year, that is not happening. And of course, against the greater backdrop of a cooler, more inactive market where buyers and sellers are both playing the waiting game to see what happens with the Bank of Canada and their positioning on interest rates as influenced by inflation and what the Fed does with interest rates as well. Before we proceed to the only property type that actually saw a resurgence, a recovery in September, let's touch on days on market, because days on market is a great measure of how many days a property stays on market. And the average days on market is up substantially year over year to the tune of 84%. That's quite crazy, because last year, September of 2021, properties were staying on the market for an average of 19 days. Now they're staying on market for an average of 35 days. This once again shows me inactivity, which might be an obvious point, but what's not so obvious is the fact that people are listed and on the market. And for the most part, I'm not going to say all, because I've represented a lot of buyers in today's slower market where we got a great deal. We got a 30 to 50 to even some cases $80,000 discount depending on the property type, where we kind of threw in a lowball offer. We worked it down to what I deemed market value to be. So it happens, and I know it happens because I've done it. But for the most part, a lot of sellers are willing to just stay on market and not take a look at lowball offers. Whether you want to call them stubborn or not, that's for you to say. But the fact of the matter is, sellers are practicing patience, and to a certain extent, as I aforementioned, buyers are practicing patience as well. There's a good chunk of buyers, not all once again, but there's a good chunk of buyers who are just trying to perfectly time the market and buy at the right perfect time. So there is a bit of waiting game happening on both ends, which, as I aforementioned, will not change until there is clearer messaging on interest rates as influenced by the rate of inflation. Whether inflation numbers start coming in lower than expected in healthier directions, or if they get worse or hold water, who knows? But that is going to determine a lot. Now, while we see all these numbers about average prices being down year over year, days on market being high, what happens if we break it down to property type? Now, I'm going to do that way more in intricate detail in future videos because this video is long enough already. But I do want to mention that the only property type, when we break it down to semi-detached, detached, townhome, condos, the only property type within the Toronto real estate market that saw a resurgence, that saw a healthy recovery in September of 2022 was condos. That's right, condo prices for the most part across the major condo areas. That's right, condo prices both on an average and median basis across the major condo areas within the Greater Toronto area and the Toronto condo market were all up month over month. Of course, condo prices are still down from peak market conditions in March. Nonetheless, in certain areas, not only were condo prices up month over month from August of 2022, but they were also up when we compared the last 2 preceding months. And let's get to a little bit more of the specifics here. Here, let's refer to my little simple Google Sheets. I know it's not sexy, it's not intricate, but it does the job and it helps me have the pulse of the market. We simply see, when we break it down by the area and by month, which, I can go all the way back to July of 2021, that condo prices, as indicated by averages in this column, but do not worry, I've also taken a look at the medians, and the medians are all up as well, indicate a clear increase month over month. So for instance, GTA here stands for the Greater Toronto Area, all TREB areas. We see an increase of 2.74% month over month from August of 2022, wherein the average came in at $730,000, which is also not only high from August, but July as well, but still lower than June. Furthermore, if we just focus on the city of Toronto with regards to the Toronto Condo Market and Toronto condos, we see the average Toronto condo price came in at a $769,000 figure, representing a 4.3% increase month over month. And this average price of a Toronto condo within the Toronto condo market for September is again the highest since June. Really, the 3 areas that saw the biggest increases were Toronto East, seeing a 5.24% increase, C1, which designates the central to western half of downtown Toronto, which saw a 5.18% increase, and Richmond Hill, which saw a 7% increase month over month in condo price. The C1 figure, representing the downtown Toronto condo market with regards to downtown Toronto condos, is the highest at $829,000 since June of 2022. Once again, noticing a theme here. And if we were to continue to go down the line, looking at Peel region, Mississauga, we would still see increases month over month. For most, the highest average sold prices for condos since June, in some instances July. Nonetheless, not all areas were up. The 2 major condo areas that were down were Markham and C8. Markham, obviously, Markham within York region, and C8, which designates central to central eastern downtown Toronto. Well, they were both down by 2 to 2.5% month over month, but with the exception of those 2, everything else was up. Anyways, there's so much more to discuss. We're going to get to a lot more in future videos pulling from this data. As always, if you have any further questions for the time being, though, feel free to comment them below or get in touch with me with the contact information in the description box. As always, this is Sam from SaberiSixRealEstate and Remax Realty Inc. Thank you very much for tuning in. Stay safe and stay tuned. Thank you.